Before I start on this video, please stick to the end as I have a serious question to ask my Fire Emblem viewers, especially those who know how to use the Citra Emulator. Or if you wish to see the question first, I've added the timestamp in the comment section pinned at the top. Thank you, and let's proceed. With the recent Fire Emblem Fates videos coming left and right from YouTubers like Excelblem or Zoran, you are definitely intrigued on how they play the game. Especially with Excelblem's infamous team of generics like Revelation Stars, Jitaro, and Conquest's Hepto. Or should I say Hepto's Conquest? Christ, I've never seen anything like this in a long time. I've been watching mostly all of his streams and honestly I can't get enough of it myself. Which is why I decided to finally start on this series after 3 months of preparation. Join me on this series. Let's go back to Fire Emblem Fates, back to 6 years ago, about its time of its release. You pick up your 3DS, turn it on, install the physical copy of Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, and proceed to play. Short disclaimer before I continue. Let me remind you once more that this is a beginner's guide on how to tackle the Fire Emblem Fates Conquest Lunatic Classic mode as stated on the title of this video, where I will be using DLC and logbook skills to hold my hand. And I have no shame in saying this, as even with DLC, it goes to show that Conquest is extremely tricky, especially if you never played it at all, including this infamous difficulty. I myself have never attempted this difficulty myself until a few months ago, and honestly, even if I start another Lunatic Classic mode run on Conquest with no DLC, I will at least make sure that some of my units have one reliable skill. And of course spend wisely, as Conquest gives you limited money. Anyways, let us hold hands, and I'll guide you the best I can in episode 1 of this guide series of Fire Emblem Fates Conquest Lunatic Classic mode. For most of us, I'm pretty sure we've mostly played on casual mode, right? There's nothing to be ashamed of, as I too was one of the majority who totally went for said option. Fire Emblem Fates Conquest in the end is nothing to scoff at, as it is one of the hardest Fire Emblem games, although probably not at a Thracia 776 level, but some veterans like Gast or even Excelblem himself had set it themselves to be quite the challenge. I myself never attempted Lunatic Classic on Conquest, only completing normal casual and hard casual until now. That said, first I must admit, I was able to reach the final boss so far thanks to the DLC maps. Yes, I know, I am the worst. But I merely did this as an experiment to test how tricky it was, even with DLC. This is a video for beginners after all. Since I mostly played on casual mode in the past, this is why, just to experiment how difficult the game is, at least with my skill level, I decided to give myself a handicap first, so I don't get frustrated so easily on my first run, which is why I would recommend if you've never done this before and you have little time to spare in your busy life. And with the skills I had obtained in other people's My Castles from previous runs in the past, I decided to tackle Conquest. I personally started around late August, tackling every map with some difficulty, as of once I reached Port Dia, I knew this was impossible without a guide. As I looked around YouTube, there was barely any good informative Lunatic Classic playthroughs, and so I had to rely on the very few forums and the Fire Emblem wiki that had data on this mode. After reaching the final chapter this October, I felt the need to do a guide myself, but on a quote-unquote easy mode. I will do a run without handicaps next year, as I am currently busy with errands in life, thus the lack of uploads. As I was soon doing an Iron Man, I wanted to keep my units alive, and every time I lost a unit, I had to reset the game from my last save. So how many resets did I do, considering I did use DLC? 250 resets. So far, that is about the approximate amount of resets I've done in a classic mode save file. If you really want to know, here are the 3 following maps I had to reset the most in order. At number 3 is Chapter 24, where you face your Hoshidan non-blood related sister, a Red Apache AH-64E, and the entire country's air force at her command. Foot soldiers, along with General Setsuna, an archer who really can't seem to stop falling into traps, and General Ozama, who holds a hexing rod and makes this map a bigger pain in the ass more than it needs to be. Hinoka will ensure that every flying unit, so long as she is top on the Dragon Gun, will reach her team from one hemisphere to another. At number 2 is Chapter 21, The Eternal Staircase, where you face nothing but Faceless and Stoneboard. And the worst part is they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming to ensure that none of my units leave this hellhole alive. And the one who takes the cake is actually Chapter 22, The Wind's Lair. What, you're expecting me to say Iago's map? The only reason this map was difficult is because I wanted to get 2 of the most important chests in this map. The bottom left corner chest that has a rescue staff, and the top left corner chest that has 10,000 gold. With the Kinchi and Falcon Knights at the top left corner, ready to ambush my team as soon as I reach Hayato and their reinforcements, this was no easy map to beat. I could have rushed my team quickly to reach Fuga, but the map did have a couple of units I really wanted to capture. It was not easy at all, and in the end, only about 10 units got good grub from the enemy's XP. Because I knew I was about to face the Faceless in that stupid staircase, I needed this grind. I did not want to waste another hour doing a Faceless hell in that stupid DLC. I will talk about this chapter again once we reach there in a future episode. To conclude this video, how exactly can we confidently beat this game without problem, regardless of however you play? The answer to this is using Niles, and capturing all the rescue staffs possible in this game. Trust me, you don't want to use all of them at once prematurely, or else you'll be stuck in the endgame. Believe me, I've attempted rushing down Takumi at the end, but with the ninjas with inevitable end always slowing me down and surely take me out, one by one. And then trying to get the staffs via DLC. Believe me, this is not ideal and you will be stuck. That said, it is possible for us to beat the game without the staffs, but unless you really want to reset every time and face Garen and Takumi constantly, it's gonna be too much for one player to handle. As for Niles, I needed him for the loot, and plus to capture some great NPCs that had powerful skills, such as this one sniper that had counter and life and death in Takumi's map, in Chapter 23. Plus, Niles is the only sniper you're gonna get unless you get yourself a Nino, or make yourself an archer, or reclass Mozu to an archer as well. Or get a generic archer like Jitaro. Regardless, you're gonna need his high res and speed for Iago's map. DLC or not, it would not be wise to bench Niles. Tune in on this series as I will explain the best to us casual players on how to defeat the beast with an overpowered sword known as DLC. In reality, the only DLC I really used are the Gold and XP DLC, along with the map where you can get the Ebon wings. Well, that's about it. I only used that map twice anyway, as Dark Flyers didn't really serve a decent purpose, when I was usually using mainly tough physical units. Unless you want to use parry as well. That is all for today's report. Tune in next time for episode 2, where I will explain my unit set, and how I proceed going straight to Chapter 7 via the Branch of Fate. Before you go, however, I request aid from you, the viewer. As I sorta made it obvious, I only played this run on my 3DS XL, not on the Citra Emulator, which brings me to my questions. 1. Is it possible to copy your save files from a physical copy of Fire Emblem Fates onto Citra? If not, is there any way like an app to adjust and give skills to certain units so they can resemble the units on my 3DS save file? In all honesty, I would try to look for a 3DS capture card, but in this era they're almost non-existent, and those that are for sale are extremely expensive, some going as far into thousands. This is why I'm thinking about doing more Fire Emblem Fates videos via Citra Emulator. If there is a good informative video that you guys have for me, please let me know in the comments below. Also, congratulations to Excelblem for finally beating Jitaroquest on his 12th run. I totally did not notice the 13th run. Don't worry, bro. Congratulations, bro.